Well, it's after 7, so, or 6:30, so I'm starting. Are we up recording?
Yes.
All right, I am calling this public hearing for the wastewater treatment facilities plan to order. Do we have any public comment or discussion?
What would you like to know?
You have questions?
Like, this is a project that's been delayed 10 years or so. You know, I looked at the reports, almost 200 pages. I don't pretend to understand it. I don't know if anybody sitting up here understands every piece of that report. I guess my question to you is, and I don't need to be, I don't know a better word, is what would happen if nothing was done, if the bare minimum was done? Yeah, I've been at things where people say, well, yeah, we just figure out a way to fix this, put something on. Does it have to be done?
Very good question.
Would you mind just stating your name for the record, please? Thank you. Oh, hi Kathy, how are you? We've run into each other a couple times. I didn't recognize you.
So maybe Eric, do you just want to start with the summary of how our plant currently operates?
So the plant was originally designed to a filter system. The filter system is not producing like it should, so it's not filtering the stuff that for the raw water to clean it. A lot of what is there is an outdated system. So we would just be extending certain things and removing certain things. So to make it more efficient, to meet some of the numbers that the DNR are giving us, it is not that we're not making it. But if they enforce anything stringent, more stringent than what we have, we can't meet it. So like with the bio tower, the filters, there was 3 pumps in there. We're down to 1, with the anticipation over the last 10 years that this is supposed to be removed, so we haven't been sticking money into it. One of the failures that Philly can step in anytime is last year we had one of our final clarifiers collapse. And that helps settle any solids that's going out to the river. We weren't able to meet all our numbers, but we also didn't have any significant rains to force any overflows. So, equipment's aging. We've been trying to replace what we can, but I mean, it's showing signs. So, Mike is the operator down there, and on our primary clarifier, which we would be converting to a digester, and you gotta help me on this one, Mike, one of the
telescopic valves. The shaft busted out, so it's open constantly now.
So it's,
So you be able to control how much we're using out of it, it is open full blast.
A lot of the equipment, the last major upgrade was running, so we're going on 35 years with some of this equipment. Stuff like that, it breaks unplanned. But it's a lot, it's awesome, so. Those purchase expansions, so. This project will address those areas with. Failures with the equipment, it's just so cool. A lot of it is just providing some additional redundancy for operational. Upping the operations, so. Like clarifier does go down, they have an extra clarifier, so if they get a rating back, clarifiers down, so it'll be permanent. It's needles over so time. Yeah, and chemical equipment that's going at 40-some years old, and we must have around 40-some old chemicals for dangerous hazards, kind of being like it, so like that. So rest is that I she's using just yeah, a lot of it's just by age. Most equipment, we assume it has a useful life of 20 years, usually you get more than 20 years out of it, but that's kind of the assumption, that's how the. DNR sets up the loan program, so you have 20-year loans. Projects, every 20 years or so. Service, so we're going on 45 for a lot of this stuff, so. See, they kind of done all the band-aids and duct tape and everything to get it this far. At some point, you just do a capital project to go raise.
And with the only building that we're building would be the chemical building. And that is, we're using ferric chloride right now, which is a highly corrosive chemical. We want to get away from that and go to a much cleaner, safer chemical. And the two chemicals we can't mix together, so we can't just stop using that and run the other one. It has to be all new piping, new pumps, new tanks. So that would be the only building that we're redoing, otherwise we're having new, everything else is being repurposed.
So here's what we had for drivers, essentially, the aging equipment, safety. Simplified operations, the permit requirements, wet weather capacity. Those are the primary reasons.
And maybe I'll just add that this project wasn't just thought of overnight, right? I mean, this has been, you've been with us, what, a decade now?
This is about 10 years.
Yeah.
A couple smaller projects that we've done, from 17 to 19. And then looking at things, in the capital projects instead.
And Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, but the new building for the chemicals would also be a building that would kind of meet codes and also get the chemicals away from the equipment that it's near right now, correct?
Yes, yeah, so
So
right
pretty
now,
far.
the two street tanks in there, there's two bigger ones and a smaller one. It's where Mike's tool room is, that's where he parks the lawnmower. I mean, I don't know if Phil has any pictures of what that room looks like right now. Everything is just corroding out because of how corrosive that stuff is.
Not opposed to fixing things. Just, and nobody's sitting here today be able to answer this question why things were done more incrementally. So maybe 10, 15 years ago, it would have been less expensive to do this stuff.
Trust me, we have been asking that the previous board did not, why they did not do that. Us. We have been asking ourselves that question multiple times over the past.
I mean, I guess it would be nice if the last 40 years of board members were sitting in this room too to answer why they chose to Band-Aid the problem instead of trying to fix things slowly. Instead of so many things being at 40 years old right now, and now it's like, oh, now we need a ton of stuff rather than a thing here, a thing there.
And I think some of this that is pushing this is that we are currently meeting our DNR numbers. But we don't want the DNR to step in and force us. And we don't want an overnight increase of some of these surrounding communities that have done 1,500, 110% increase to our residents. So we're trying to gradually go in and do what we can.
You know,
For
not,
everybody, because we're all residents too. We're all, I have a teenage son, trust me, it takes very long.
2 daughters.
Opposition.
Well, no, we understand.
But we've talked about this quite a bit.
and not to just put it all on the village board, but the previous management wasn't, he wasn't a wastewater guy. I am the wastewater guy, and I drive my car down there to continue to improve the overall quality of what we're sending out. So I see that, and it's in my blood, I guess, but I don't think the previous one was into wastewater as much as what I am. So then I'm seeing these things and, you know, when I went down there, took a tour at Mike, I'm like. What are you doing down here? What is happening? Why is this stuff boarded up? Where the pumps go? How are you guys running on one floor? So. But up on the screen there, you got these, the ferric chloride room. So right now, we're feeding roughly between 11 and 13 gallons of ferric a day. With the current piping and system we have in there, we're maxed out. That's what our pump does. Now, can some of the hoses and pumps be changed? You know, where do you keep going if it's gonna be, you know, replaced or taken out? The eye wash station that you see there with that little, that's blue, it does not work. You'll probably get more rust out of it than anything. I know he does not have a picture of the heater, but I don't think the heater's connected. Then that's not even showing the bar screen room where you had to call in a plumber on the weekend because the pipe burst because the heater don't work and it's not heated and. I mean, so we've been trying to take care of it, but you know, how much can we keep putting out there?
Here at the bar screen room, you just kind of see the age. Start to grow. As we go.
So I,
The bio tower or whatever too.
yeah, I saw that on there. So before you switch, Phil, so Kathy, on there, up above the steps, there's our sampler. It was outside the building, but it kept freezing on us, so we put it inside. Apparently that's a code violation. So we're not doing very good with that either. But that's the only way we can keep it from freezing, because we need our, so. You wanna go back to the bottle tower, Phil? Yeah, so we do need it? Okay, I'll tell her. Yeah. She asked me about it.
So this is where I'm sure is one where it's probably, you know, if you guys go up the stairs or anything anymore, just say up there. So to be everything inside is all 7 years old. It's just sense. Yeah, it's like. It's purpose.
So that's what we're going to be moving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're abolishing that.
Yeah, it's been, sorry, what, probably 8 years since.
Kurt?
Probably years since anybody's been in that bio tower, right, Mike? Pardon me? It's probably been years since anybody's been able to go into that bio tower.
We put a sheet of plywood over the door about 5 years ago. So nobody would ever try to go in it.
A couple points that, you know. And when I was on the board, there was no doubt that there had to be some updating done to this water treatment. We knew that. The problem I have with this process is right now we're putting part, you know, this has to do with the political process. We're putting the cart before the horse. Informational meeting like this should have been done before we implemented it. In other words, we voted on this. To do this before we even had an informational meeting to inform the public that we were. And I think that was wrong. I think that we should have been upfront with the community. I felt like we're not being upfront with them, and maybe that was part of my failure, but being on the board, but I feel we're having this way too late. And number two, the other concern is this is a $5 million project. For a community like this, I have my doubts whether we can bite off that much. And
We pay consultants to tell us to do all this stuff, consultants will tell you anything you want. I think the wrong information was fed to them, I think that this should have been an incremental process. And then after we raised taxes on. For the EMS project. And then taxes were, like, in my opinion, were raised for the school board too. And now. If we go through with this other sewer rate raise in I think it's 2027, I believe. Then that's gonna amount to a 75% raise in sewer rates. And. People from the community aren't here now, but they're gonna be complaining, trust me. So. I think a lot of things should have been considered before just implementing a $5 million plan, because. I have concerns that the village is gonna be able to shoulder this burden. Are we gonna have to raise taxes, property taxes again? I hope not, but. I think that there should have been a little bit more. Information disseminated to the public and before, and we're just doing this now. Just imagine the complaints that are gonna come down afterwards, so. That's all I gotta say.
I am going to say one thing, we have not agreed to any $5 million plan. The
Okay,
only thing that we agreed to when we had our vote last, when you were on the board, was to pay Strand to develop the plans.
yeah,
We cannot actually get any bids, or we don't know how much it's going to cost until we have construction plans. And then we take those construction plans and we send those out for the companies to bid on. But they cannot tell us a price until Strand creates the plan.
but the overall
That-
plan that we voted on was $5 million, so I know we haven't gotten any bids.
We haven't actually decided on
Yeah.
any of that yet. And honestly, right now, last year, our rate increase was just to get us above water. This upcoming rate increase that we talked about is just so that we can actually get a loan, even if it's only $1 million or $2 million loan, so that we can have the 10% forgiveness.
I understand what I'm saying makes sense for economically for the village, but for people that are shouldering this burden. It doesn't make sense for them. Because they're gonna look at their property tax rates and they're like, I can't afford to live in this community. Now, what you're saying is, well, it's not a guarantee that it'll be $5 million, I hope so, we're very cost conscious. But like I said, I know that we needed to make updates on this, but. Again, we put the cart before the horse, we should have been. Having this informational meeting a year ago. You know, at the very soonest, at the very latest, 6 months, so.
Would you like to do part of your presentation? Just the highlights?
Yeah. In the room, but these are the main drivers for the project. So the aging equipment, we already talked about 40 years old, safety, chemical room is very old, a lot of corrosion in the room, the vital tower, like it said, it's board in the door, it's not usable anymore for at least access, simplifying operations, big part of the project. DNR permit requirements, exceeding requirements. Additional wet weather capacity during rain events. And then there's additional redundancy to improve the operational efficiency.
So for those of you not familiar with the wastewater treatment plant, so this is aerial photo of it. So the raw wastewater, it comes in through the sewer, to this first building where there's, it's called screening. So the wastewater, it takes out the plastics, rags, those sorts of things, they will move by the screen and put it upstairs. After screening, it goes into an area called the into a wet well, where there's pumps. The pumps pump it up to directly damage pumping equipment and whatnot, so these through wastewater. Direct goes to this tank, but it's the primary clarified pilot tower. So these two pieces, or these two processes are planned to be removed. They were originally installed because there was planned to be, I think, a meat packing industry here that had a higher, what we call loading, so it sends more, it's called like biological oxygen demand, but it's more waste essentially, so the wastewater has more in it, it's not as pollutant as a normal municipal wastewater. So this takes out that higher, treats the higher, highly concentrated wastewater better. It's not needed for typical municipal wastewater like we have now. So this would be, this tank would still be repurposed into a digester along, there's a little well here, mile tower that would be repurposed. Tower itself is demolished. And then this whole area becomes what's called an extended aeration process. And that's what treats the organic portion of wastewater. From there, it goes to these two clarifiers. So this is what Eric was talking about earlier. One of these failed last summer or the summer before. So they're down to one of these, essentially, no backup at that time. These already are stressed during wet weather events. So if there had been any kind of wet weather event, you had likely had water, sewage, whatever you want to call it, flowing over the walls, out here, maybe into the river and whatnot. So adding a third one, so when you're doing work on it, because you need to do work every 15-20 years or so, you should take them down and paint them. More often than that, probably take them down and just inspect things. So you have third clarifier, so you can take one down, but still have two of them. It also helps in the end with your treatment by having three of them. You have more time for the particles to settle, so you produce the better effluents and you can beat the permaplants more easily. The splitter structure is just the way that it's split flow, so it goes equally to all clarifiers. This pump station, this is automated the sludge removal from these clarifiers. So what happens in the clarifiers is solids go into them, they settle to the bottom, and then pumps pump out those solids. Clear water flows over meters and out of them. So this station pumps the solids or the sludge out of the bottom of the clarifiers. Right now it's a manual operation. So they turn a valve, sit there and watch it, leave it for a period of time. This will automate it so they can control that rate better, and it helps with the aeration process when you control the rate better and more putting into the packets of the system. And then from here to clear water, it goes up to UV disinfection. Turn around a little bit. Yes. Right here. Yep, so the UV disinfection here, and then from there it goes to the river. And then the solids end, you have the sludge being pumped to the aerobic digester, and then it sits in the digester, and then it's really starting to digest the sludge. And then it's pumped into these two big storage tanks. Tanks are eventually the sludge is then applied farm fields. So you can see there's a lot of the plant that isn't necessarily being touched. So touching what needs to be touched with this plant. This sludge storage tank is newer. This grid system here is newer. One of the clarifiers is rehab. The other one is building. So this is original 1980s. So this is where we're talking about the chemical So right now, this is the garage, and then in the back of that garage, it's that small chemical room, so it's right next to, the vehicles are parked in there and all that, you have this chemical vapors in that space, and you have it in a space that, you know, Mike is in, the lab and everything else, office space. So we're moving chemicals, standalone building way outside of the building that is normally occupied. I think everyone would agree, rather than being building that is continuously. And then generator is also in this building right now. That's vintage 1980, so adding a new generator, exterior outdoor generator outside. In that area is an area that currently looking at it. So, I don't know if the rest of it probably isn't as relevant for the rest of it. Costs here. And the way we're planning to set it up is. So base bid means that's the part of the project that is going to happen, assuming the board approves it, but that will be the base part of the project. And then everything else, these lines that are called bid alternative. Would be something that could be selected to be included in the project. So depending on how the bids come in, you may want to do one bid alternative, or you may want to do all four of them. But at least gives that flexibility to the board after bids are received to kind of right size the project for whatever the budget is. Will allow, construction costs have been all over the place, mainly up in the past 5 years or so. So it's hard to predict what costs are gonna come up at. And they don't seem to be coming down, and with, you know, things like the data center that sucks up a lot of the contractors who build these kind of projects, especially the electrical contractors. So costs are not, it's not something we're gonna give you away, things are gonna go down, it's just not what we've been seeing. So project timeline, so submit DNR, facilities plan DNR, so that was submitted in September. As part of that process, they required this public hearing. Beginning final design, so that's underway. Submit clean water fund loan IC and perk applications, those are submitted, that's for funding for the project to get 10% principal forgiveness. Public hearing today. Planning to submit drawings and specs to DNR in June. Clean water fund loan application, the next fiscal year starts July 2026. DNR approval, then planning to bid in October of 2026. Earliest loan closing would be approximately December. Construction would be 2027 and a 2-year project. So the electrical gear takes about almost a year sometimes to get the electrical equipment. Or you can. So that's the main critical path of the project, so you can bring all the equipment. Primarily the electrical equipment.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Unfortunately, we have reached the time limit for the session. I'm going to need a motion to close. Do I have a motion to close?
Motion close.
Do I have a second? All those in favor of closing this public hearing? Aye. All those opposed? Meeting's closed. And we have 1 minute.
Would you mind if Kurt took your,
She can use my.
All right, it is 7 o'clock. I am going to call this meeting of the Fredonia Village Board to order, Thursday, November 6th. Call to order. The first item is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk Johnson, can you please take the roll?
President Lenz,
Here.
trustee Eipert,
Here.
trustee Frank, here, trustee Abedlin,
Here.
trustee Searing,
Here.
trustee Van Roon.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Please note that public comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. If you wish to make a public comment, please come to the microphone and give us your full name.
Hi. My name is Renee Colbert and I live at 1651 Meadowlark Road in Fredonia. Although my home is just outside the village limits, my husband and I are deeply connected to this community. We've coached local youth sports teams, gym coaches. We've served on youth sports boards and contributed to the Village Park and Recreation Planning Committee. Fredonia isn't just where we live, it's truly our home. Tonight, I'm speaking on behalf of the Protect Fredonia Coalition, a grassroots group of neighbors united by one goal: to stop the installation of the power lines proposed by ATC along the preferred and preferred contingent routes to serve the Port Washington Data Center. Our coalition has worked tirelessly, researching health, environmental, cultural, and financial impacts of these power lines. We've reached out to legislators, attorneys, environmental experts, and community leaders to make one message crystal clear. We want ATC to stop pursuing the preferred or preferred contingent route and instead pursue the alternative route that runs east of Highway 57. In addition, members of our group are raising funds to support potential legal action, and we continue reaching out to residents that were never contacted by ATC, but still may be directly impacted by these power lines. Through this research, we discovered there are properties within the village itself that would be impacted if the preferred contingent route moves forward. This issue doesn't just affect those of us outside the village limits, it impacts you and your constituents as well. Our goal is simple: to convince ATC to revise their proposal to the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin before approval. To strengthen this effort, we are asking the village board to adopt a resolution supporting the relocation of these power lines to the alternative route east of Highway 57. Time is critical. The PSCW could act on ATC's submission at any point, and your voice as village leaders could make a real difference. Speaking personally, I was devastated to learn that ATC designated the Fredonia route as a preferred contingent route. This decision puts my home directly in the path of these power lines. I'm deeply concerned about the impact of our health, safety, property value, and overall quality of life. These lines would permanently alter the rural quality and natural beauty that makes Fredonia so special. I will be submitting a copy of the proposed resolution to the village clerk after this meeting for your consideration at the next meeting. Thank you for your time, for listening to our concerns. I was gonna say I would welcome questions, but yes, I can. So,
Thank you
But
very
on
much.
the 20th, you can.
But on the 20th, yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renee.
Is there any other public comment?
Renee, may I ask, with the submittal that you'll be submitting to the village, will you be able to submit the researchers, the people that your coalition has been talking to as well?
Sorry.
So will you be able to submit like the names of the researchers and the companies that your coalition has been speaking to about the dangers of these and the researchers?
Maybe I can pull together some of the research that we found.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done much research myself, so it'd be nice to
Sure.
read some of that research.
Provide supporting docs for your resolution, so I'll submit it to the board all at once.
Okay.
Whatever you provide.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda, if there's no other public comment, is the consent agenda approving the minutes of the October 16th, 2025 Village Board of Trustees meeting and approving the general fund water and sewer invoices. Do I have,
Motion to approve. Consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I had questions about some of the bills. I saw there's a check today, I guess, for a October business meal for a Michelle Wester for $95. Do you guys know what that is?
With our fire department.
The fire department typically buys some food for their monthly meetings. So she bought some food, is getting reimbursed for that.
Is that the same thing then for Schaumburg? Dan Schaumburg?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it, thanks.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
DJ, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next item, report on village operations, Parks and Recreation Committee. Trustee Frank, I believe. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Trustee Eipert.
Do you need me to save you, Natalie?
Please.
Okay, no problem. Well, Chairperson Eipert, ran the meeting, did a great job. We covered just a couple things. We went through 2026 proposed, parks projects, our new full-time guy, and Parks and Rec lead, Simon Barris. Bars went over, his suggested upgrades for the parks. The group gave some feedback and plans on implementing the majority of those things for next year. We went over the upcoming tree lighting ceremony and winter walk. So as a reminder to the community, the tree lighting ceremony is coming up. We hope that you can attend. And then we discussed 2026 events as a whole. We went over the needs of the village, what were events that we could realistically put on as a staff and a group. And we just verified those projects that were going to commence. Since then, I can share with you, we sent out donation letters and we've already started to receive some donations, which we appreciate, which will help support those wonderful events for next year. That's what I got.
Thank you.
Question.
Yeah.
The part where you talked about converting Stony Creek into pickleball court, but that says consensus was to proceed with parks projects as recommended. So what does that mean, that it was recommended to proceed with converting that to pickleball?
Do you want to touch on it?
Yeah, so we have the basketball court over there that doesn't get used, if at all. Either converting that or on the northwest end by where the pine trees are that are gonna be coming down, be putting it there. So.
Yeah, that was just a little unclear with the wording of what the.
Yeah, we talked about 2 spots, so I don't think we've narrowed it down to which one to convert to, so. So one's there, we just have to restripe it, remove the hoops, or put a smaller pad in, or on the other side.
Does the, I mean, and I know this is outside of your purview, but do we know, does that, the county park, pickleball court get used?
So the county uses their tennis court as a pickleball court also, so they have the both sets of lines on there.
Yeah, do people actually use it?
Pickleball, probably more than tennis, yes.
Really?
Yeah. I do see people using it.
Yeah, I think.
They just don't use it when I'm driving by, so. Yeah, 5 in the morning.
And I can't tell you how many people use our tennis courts here. Because we don't have any, so
That would be,
that's all I got.
And pickleball seems to be what, not just the young people, it's like, it seems to be something kind of like, I would say intergenerational, where like us and our kids are playing, like our adult children are joining leagues, and it's super popular, and it's a lot less strain than, so if you played tennis as a, as a younger person, the pickleball is a lot less strain on your joints.
Sounds like I might need to look at the pickleball.
There you go.
So, thank you.
All right, the next item is the report from the Planning Commission. Planning Commission met on Monday. We had a public hearing for the ordinance 2025, amending the Village of Fredonia zoning code relating to home occupations. And we subsequently recommended it to the village board, and that will be talked about later on this evening. We also discussed the situation with the individual living as the residents in a commercial property downtown. And we are we're going to have a second inspection of the property to determine whether it is now being used as a commercial location or if it is still being used primarily as a residence. And that was all that we did that evening. Next items for action or discussion. Motion to approve adoption of the wastewater treatment plant facilities plan. Do we need to have any further discussion? Do we have a motion to approve the adoption of the plan?
I'll make a motion to approve the adoption of the wastewater treatment plant facility plan.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Thank you. Passes. Next item, discussion and possible action on the 2026 draft annual operating budget. Administrator Jenkins, would you care to?
Sure. So tonight's meeting, there's no official action. It's just your opportunity to ask questions and give feedback about the budget book itself. What I sent you about a week ago is an almost finalized version of the budget book. We are still waiting for assessed values. We called the state today to see if we could get that information. And it sounds like they're going to push us one more week. There is a deadline for them to give us that assessed value. That's in about a week from now. So whether they know the number fully or they don't, in a week, they're going to give us the drop dead number. And then that's what I can give you a clear answer on what the mill rate is going to be. So when you look in the budget book, anything that you saw was yellow and highlighted, just means that it was going to be a to be determined number once we get that assessed value information.
Did they give a reason why given us?
Yeah, and we've actually known throughout the whole time. So there's two, let me back up. The state is the one that assesses manufacturing. And there's two businesses that are manufacturing that wanted to contest their assessments with the state, just like you all can during the board of review process. So they're going through that process. So the state can either affirm their assessment or they can say, oh, yeah, you're right, we'll lower it because of what you're saying. And so they have until that date next week to hopefully make a decision, but they don't have to, right? They can make a decision even after that point. And then there's a whole process where we go by to refund the property owner and then we get refunded from the state. But until they make that decision, our final assessed values aren't determined. But that aside, you've all had copies of the budget book. I'm happy to answer any questions. Our treasurer and director of public works are here as well. Otherwise, you could just keep digesting it and we can wait another couple of weeks. No pressure.
Any questions for the administrator or the treasurer? If there's no debate or discussion, we'll move on to the next item. Discussion and possible action on village engineering services. Administrator Jenkins.
Sure thing. So as you all probably know, I know Trustee Beglin has been with us since the beginning of this process. The village used to have a full-time engineer on staff. Since that person left and I came on board and the rest of our team, we switched to contracting for on-call services for engineering. That ended up just being more cost-effective because we don't necessarily need an engineer 24/7 and we can just call them when we need them. So when we originally went through that process, we went out to bid. We had about 9 vendors that we looked at. that ultimately decided on Strand. And so you have seen Isaac many a times, Isaac Fruchman, who's our primary engineer. And his team are the ones that act as that village engineer force for us. So his contract or their contract is up at the end of this year. They're on a 3-year contract. So to both keep them on their toes and to make sure that we were doing our due diligence, we went out kind of for a soft bid where we contacted some other engineering firms to see what their quotes came in at. You see a summary of that in your packet under the memo that I had prepared. The important line to look at is the project manager line item. That's that first one there, and the various rates that they can bill at. So it's not like they could bill us anywhere from 130 to 248. It really depends on who that personal engineer contact is for us. And to be frank, because we're a smaller village with smaller problems, they don't assign the big boys to us. We get awesome people like Isaac who are a little bit more cost effective for us as well. So Mr. Fruchman is billed at a rate of $155 an hour. When you look at that rate and then stretch it out compared to Westwood and McMahon and those other services, Strand still ends up being fairly competitive in the market. So both because their numbers came in competitive and because we like Strand and enjoy working with them, we'd encourage you to renew the contract with them for another 3 years.
I think there's additional value in continuity as well. Strand has history with us, we have history with Strand. I think Isaac's done a fine job, even if he's not a big boy.
I'll make sure it's on.
Yeah. He'll love it.
But yeah, there's definite value in that kind as well. So I agree with the administrator's assessment.
Do we have a motion then to approve?
What motion to approve Strand
Right.
contract for on-call task force?
Who does, so, as an engineer, because there's engineer and then there's engineering technician, who does he fall under?
Let me-
This pay scale across your Strand, because it says, his hourly rate is 155, but what's the range? Because we don't have a range under Strand engineers for an hourly rate, we just have 155.
I think it's just the way that's formatted. This should say environmental technician or scientist engineer. Is that one? So it's not engineer, it doesn't have blank next to it. Do you see what I'm saying?
On mine, there's nothing there, it's blank for Strand. It's blank for Westwood, and then McMahon came in with a 110 to 200.
Yeah. So he's a project manager. Would that be correct? I mean, that's what I.
We had Strand, we had sometimes with the project manager, and probably sometimes with the project engineer. Our rates are based.
Yeah, we use that term interchangeably. That's why there's not a separate billing for engineer.
And
Yeah.
I think oftentimes with what you're dealing with, we're looking at a project manager, and if they need an engineer, it's like a PE stamp, et cetera. He is a PE, okay. I have no problem.
Yeah, typically it would be, he would work on it, and if there's something that's really complicated, pull in the higher rate person to help out. Coordinating, as I think the past buildings that show us.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the buildings or something. Yes. Couple of years.
And he already has professional engineer certification, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We're doing better than that.
I mean, not to insult the firm in the room, but I'm just looking at McMahon's numbers and they seem to be the same on lines or sometimes lower. So we're doing our due diligence for the people of the village. Their rates are very competitive with what we have here for Strand or lower in spots.
Mhm.
So.
Yep. And I don't disagree. I would just say that I think the relationship we built with Strand and really that we haven't had issues with them is worth giving them another shot. If it was dramatically different, then yeah, I mean, that's why I went through this process, just to see what else was out there.
Second.
Do we have any further discussion? Or questions? Excuse me. Well, then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Abstaining, anyone? No. We'll move on to introduction to the ordinance 2025-04, an ordinance amending the Village of Fredonia zoning code relating to home occupations.
Sure, I can take it over. This is back before you all. I know Trustee Van Roo is excited. It's finally come back. But this looks pretty different than what you have originally looked at a few months ago. But I want to high level kind of give you how this ordinance reads, and then you guys can give some feedback. So at a high level, it more clearly defines home occupations, which we certainly appreciate. And then it breaks down even more so between two categories. So a low intensity home occupation. So think of like, again, the sourdough bread lady, people that there's no way it's going to interfere with their neighbors. And then moderate intensity home occupations, which are things that might be using a little bit of machinery, appliances and things like that that might cause some sort of residential dwelling to have a risk of noise or vibrations or things like that. So first it defines those. And if you're a low intensity home occupation, you just can do it, right? We don't need to know. It's not our prerogative as a village. By right of owning your home, you have the ability to do that. And so I think to Trustee Van Roo's point from before, I think that's already a step up from what we had prior. And then if you are a moderate intensity home occupation, then it provides a path forward, whereas our previous ordinance did not. So it provides a path forward through conditional use permit. For those that don't know, a conditional use permit is a special permit that you can get granted through the Plan Commission and through the zoning administrator that pretty much allows a myriad of things to happen as long as you meet within the scope of the rules of the conditional use. So because we can do it that way, that gives wide-ranging flexibility to the village and the Plan Commission to decide, if a CNC business is going to operate right, what are going to be the hours of operation, what are going to be noise levels and things like that. And that way we make sure that, the good guys, quote unquote, that are doing it right or continue to do it. And then anyone that might not be, that we can control that as well. Then the final part of this ordinance is the general home occupation regulations. So whether you are low intensity or medium intensity, all of those types of businesses should still fall under the rules of this home occupation regulations. And those are listed here, many of which that you had saw before you in the previous drafts that we had looked at. So overall, I know the Plan Commission reviewed this a couple times. They gave some good feedback. They actually added, there was an addition to add accessory structures. Before the language was just for primary residences. But we acknowledge that people are doing stuff in their garages and their sheds, and we wanted to be able to give them that flexibility too. So it went to Plan Commission just fine. We didn't have any issues at the public hearing. And that was back before you all for a first glance before adoption at your next meeting.
Questions or discussion?
Commend those who did their homework on this, turned into a really good ordinance.
Yeah, I definitely think it is a very better alternative to what's currently, on the books. So it's definitely maybe it's not perfect in some people's eyes, but it's definitely a huge step forward for the village.
Absolutely. All right, well, then we will move on to the motion to approve the agreement for the operation of the Mid-Moraine Municipal Court. Administrator Jenkins, do you want to just fill us in on that real quick?
Sure. We are part of the Mid-Moraine Municipal Court. That's just the court system that we write our tickets through. Anytime a municipality leaves or gets added to the court system, then all of the participating municipalities need to approve it. So the town of Addison left the court system, and our local friends in the town of Fredonia and the city of Sheboygan Falls are joining the court system effective 2026. So we just need to approve the agreement, adding those guys in.
Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
But town is not part of this court system. Can they not process tickets?
Say it again.
The town's not part of this court system. Can they not process tickets?
Correct.
for the town of Addison, not write people tickets anymore?
So the town of Addison, the problem that they had was actually the same problem that the town of Fredonia had, is that they didn't have a code enforcement officer, which means they didn't have a way to enter the ticketing system, which means they didn't have access to the court. So they actually been a party to this agreement, unfortunately, for like 3 years while they were trying to figure that out on who was going to write their tickets. And it never happened. And so they left.
And that's where our partial.
Yeah. And that's the value that we're giving to the town of Fredonia.
Right.
Correct. And then have access to this court system.
Make a motion to approve the agreement for the operation of the Mid-Marine Municipal Court.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Next item on the agenda, discussion and possible action on village board trustees vacancy. You are all aware, Don Dorwart stepped down as a trustee for the board in the last meeting. And we need to move forward to fill his seat on the board. We have a number of options available to us. One of the options is to leave the seat vacant, which would leave us one trustee short, which would potentially cause problems with tie votes, et cetera. And it just optically does not look good to have a board that's not complete. Other options are to appoint somebody or to have a special election. Former trustee Dorwart timed his resignation so that if we decided to have a special election, we could piggyback it onto the spring election so that it would be less financially impactful on the village. The issue with that is that that election doesn't take place for about 6 months, which would mean waiting a little bit of time for that election. However, we could appoint somebody until the election. So we could do the appointment until the election and we could still run the election, or we could just appoint somebody. Any discussion, commentary? Did I cover it reasonably?
I feel like whether or not you appoint someone, it would make sense to have it part of the special election in April, so people actually have a fair shot at choosing.
I would agree with that.
And I think Don's preference and his reasoning, as he stated in his resignation, is that he would prefer a general election
Yes,
instead of appointing.
right. And the only problem with just going with the election is that we'd have an open seat for 6 months. So going through the process of appointing somebody temporarily, then that person could then run for that seat in the special election in April.
So, yeah, the seat would be open for 5 months. We're already in November.
Yeah.
It's in April. But in the nearly 8 years that I've been doing this, the number of times that we came to a hairline vote like that. And I don't even know if it has happened.
We remember.
One time, votes in 8 years, so I don't think that's a big issue. Optically, yeah, given, I mean, this is a full house for us. So, I don't think that's a concern, but in being financially responsible, a special election just does not make sense. I don't think we should hold one before the planned one in April.
Right.
And while it's not ordinance or state code or anything, I think it would be right to honor the wishes of the former trustee Goldberg, given his over 30 years of service to this community and county. Yeah, to go ahead and honor it, it's easy to do. That's my view on it. Like, we should just continue on till the election.
Further discussion? I would agree with you. I put all the options before us.
Can I just make a point of clarification? So if we fill this seat in April via election, that would still be a special election, that's like a mini election within the April
It
election.
would still take place the same day.
Yeah, so you would
So
have to,
hire, additional
All of our
staff,
team.
put on additional,
Right.
but so. I'm sure you got this covered, but that seat would be a 1-year seat, while the other 3 on the ballot. 2.
Further discussion?
I think that in reality, it doesn't hurt to kind of do it like with the other vacant seat and put it out there for interested parties. One, I mean, yes, it's only 5 months, but it would allow us to see somebody who would potentially have interest in becoming a board member, let them have some experience in this before the election. And then at the election, maybe then, village residents will then have seen someone who has some interest in becoming a permanent seat at the table. And it's good for us to have the full board here and, spreading that. And it's not just these nights, it's the committee meetings, it's spreading that workflow around to a full board of what we really should have. And then having that special election in April. And as long as they know that that's clear, that it's 5 months and then there's a special election and they have to run or potentially lose that seat.
How long would it take to appoint someone anyway?
it would probably be at least a meeting process, one
Yeah.
meeting.
I mean, we've done it before. You've done it before. We would solicit applications. I mean, I think last time, did we give like a month or was, yeah. So we could solicit applications, bring them before you all a month from now, interview those people, and you could appoint that person right then. The question that actually I had, Clerk Johnson, I didn't think about till now, is let's say they don't appoint somebody until February, right? Hypothetically,
Okay,
how does that person gain access to the ballot for that special
I
election?
think they're two separate issues,
Yeah.
right? So.
They'd have to
whoever
say that
gets
they're running.
access
Okay.
to go through the process,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And whoever we appoint to the board is a fun appointed member for whatever length of term is left
Right.
until April.
That's what I figured. I just want to make sure we understood that.
So it would be a nice coincidence if somebody who was interested also chose to run, but it's not a prerequisite for either position.
Yep.
So it looks like we would be able to have a 7th trustee seated by the first meeting in January.
I mean, we could do it, if that is your appetite, we could advertise, interview at that first meeting in December. And then I don't know what's the deal with the second meeting in December, but we could have somebody set and swear them in at that second meeting in December.
I mean, you could seat them that first meeting in December
Yeah.
too.
Might have
Oh, yeah,
one-
we
Yeah.
could do that. That's what we did
Right.
with you.
Yeah.
might have one person.
Right.
That's true.
So we could have someone in 3 weeks.
So is the consensus of the board then to both do an appointment for the, to run up until the election and then to include a special election in the regular April election coming up this year? Does that seem to be the board's consensus?
I mean, do you guys think it? I don't see the harmony that do it either way. But also given, I mean, my short time here, I feel like the track records, I don't think there's a very. I don't think having that extra vote is gonna be. Like necessarily. Very important in most things, not saying it's not where I'm saying just based on what I've seen so far.
Right. The only thing is, I mean, to appoint for that short period of time isn't going to cost the village any money. And it will give us the ability to have a 7th person on the board, to have a full, complete board. So doing both the appointment and planning for the special election might be the best way forward. But again, I was attempting to interpret what I'm hearing here. if we want to just go with the the special election. You know. I guess we should take a vote, which would be preferred.
So I think I'm hearing from everybody about the special election. So Clerk Johnson can describe what that process looks like, because there will be an action step for you all. And then maybe you could vote on if you want to also appoint somebody.
Okay,
or
so
not.
do them separate.
Okay, so, special election is, not a lot of work for everybody else, but it is a little bit of work for me, and there are very specific timeframes under which candidates can turn in their papers and you guys can order your special election. So the very earliest we can order a special election is November 17th. So that means for you, on November 20th, I'm gonna put a resolution together that lays out the timeline for candidate papers, deadlines for nomination papers, and I'll also show you what the ballot will look like too, so you know there's no confusion. So
just question on the ballot, that we would have one section for anybody on a 1 year and then
Yeah.
second section for the general.
yeah, so there's 2 races. Well, I brought it. You can look at it. So there, and actually, so this ballot, actually, there's a mistake on this ballot, so, and it's not mine, so it's not a true template of what we will use, and I'll work with the county and with WEC to make sure that we have something that's, you know, totally appropriate. But the ballot will say official ballot, and it will have the name of the election, and then there will be the name of the special election as well. And then there's a municipal race and a special municipal election race right under. And so I think, you know, in terms of how it changes our election process, I'll work with our team about how we message that on election day, because we do have to be careful about how we talk about the ballot in the polling location. But in terms of how we message it to the public, I think it's pretty straightforward. So I guess I'll be here next week with next meeting with a resolution, and then I'll be working with WEC and our village attorney to get all of our ducks in a row. And I'll work closely with any candidates that are interested, because their deadlines are different from the other folks who are, running for that regular municipal race.
So should we have a motion to direct you to create the resolution for the special election?
Yeah.
No. We just did it.
We will.
Direct you to do that.
Yes, I hear that you would like a
special election.
and we will take action on that at the next meeting.
All right. Now, do we have consensus regarding the appointment that would fill the seat until the special election?
I remain opposed.
Hmm?
I remain opposed.
I agree with trustee.
Opposed?
I would say we filled it.
Fill it?
I'm neutral if it's equal, but
Trustee Eipert?
Oh my gosh, it's a tie vote.
Words already.
I can't even. I think I'm more opposed to appointing.
All right, we've got 3 opposed. 2 in favor, and then there's me.
It'd be really funny if it was a tie vote. just to
Right.
say.
Right? What do we do then? Just.
No, I know.
Time vote, the motion fails.
Yeah.
And that,
No motion.
No, I know.
Right, in general.
Yep.
well, in this case, then would that mean that the opposition, the no action would take precedence?
It depends what the motion is.
Yeah.
But if the motion was not to appoint,
Well, I mean,
Go for a motion.
as,
Consensus.
right now we're going for. That's what I'm asking.
right, I asked for consent.
But here's what I have heard, right? We have 3 opposed, 1 neutral and 1 appoint.
So we have a majority, no matter what I said, we'd have opposed as a majority. So given that, unless there's further discussion, we will leave the seat open until the special election fills it. Any further discussion? Shall we move on?
We got it.
All right. Discussion and appointment of president pro tem. So former trustee Dorwart was the president pro tem. We need to appoint somebody new for that position. Does anybody wish to put themselves forward?
Before I'll do it again, be happy to.
All right. Anybody else?
That's my pleasure of the board.
Do we have a motion to appoint Rika Beglin?
Appoint President Pro Tem.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. Motion to approve the appointment of trustee Frank as the chair of the Public Works Committee. Former trustee Dorwart was the chair of the Public Works Committee. Trustee Frank has indicated that she's willing to step into that position. Do we have any discussion, debate? Do we
Anybody
have
else
a
want to
motion?
do it? You can jump for joy now.
Do we have a motion to approve the appointment?
Motion to approve trustee Frank as chair of the Public Works.
Do we have a second? All right, thank you. All those in favor of appointing trustee Frank as chair of the Public Works Committee, say aye. Any opposed? Aye. Motion to approve the appointment of trustee Searing to the Public Works Committee. Trustee Searing is willing to step into the seat vacated by trustee Frank as she becomes the chair. Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
The motion to approve the appointment of trustee Searing to Public Works Committee.
Do we have a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion to approve the appointment of trustee Eipert to the Fredonia Government Center Committee. Another seat that was vacated by former trustee Dorwart. Any discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve appointment of trustee Eipert to the Fredonia Government Center Committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion to approve building inspection services agreement between the Village of Fredonia, Wisconsin and JP Building Inspections LLC. Administrator Jenkins, would you care to fill us in?
Or I foreshadowed this in past meetings. As you all know, John Derler is retiring. He's very excited about that. January 1st, he is done. And so Jeremy Pfeiffer, who is currently our commercial inspector, is also willing to do residential inspections. He does work under contract, so that contract is before you all. If we agree to that, and then the next item would be to officially appoint him as our building inspector.
Questions? Comment? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the contract with JP Building Inspection LLC.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Next item, motion to approve the appointment of Jeremy Pfeiffer as residential building inspector.
Make a motion to approve the appointment of Jeremy Pfeiffer as our residential building inspector.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Next item, discussion and possible action on village administrator annual review. This topic may necessitate a closed session discussion. At this point, we should move into closed session. We need to have a motion and a vote on this.
Motion, one session.
We have a second.
Second.
Second. We need a roll call vote for this, I believe.
President Lynn,
Aye.
trustee Eipert,
Aye.
trustee Frank, trustee Abeglin. Trustee Searing.
Aye.
Trustee Van Ruth.
All right. We would ask the audience to please vacate the premises.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Renee, you have my contact information, right? Or should I give you my card before you leave?
Session. So for the trustees, motion to approve Administrator Jenkins's 2026 goals with the amended goals that we discussed. Do I have a motion?
To approve Administrator Jenkins' 2026 goals as discussed in closed session.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, correspondence, the clerk Johnson said there was no correspondence. Items for future consideration, just a reminder that we had the group for protection of Fredonia here, and that they're going to be providing us with a draft resolution for our consideration at the board meeting on November 20th. And having said that, do I have a motion to adjourn? All right, do I have a second? All right, all those in favor? We are in adjournment. Thank you, folks.
I'll pass it on to Danny.
Maybe you were,